Welcome, everyone, to a constructionless background noise live stream here on Friday morning of the Orange Bowl here on the Wolverine.com YouTube channel. We are, of course, joined by a special guest this week as we talk to former Michigan football tight end Jake Butt, who we will talk about the game a little bit here over the next half hour or so and also take some of your questions. So, Jake, welcome. How's Miami?
I mean, do you see it? We've been waiting so long, all the way back to the Big Ten championship. I woke up, before I even brushed my teeth, I slapped on the maize and blue and the block ends. And it's crazy to be walking around the streets of Miami. I'm in Miami Beach, and we're not even near the stadium. Michigan fans everywhere. People down here don't even know. They're like, what's everybody wearing? What are these colors? Like, yeah, man, the Michigan train is here, and we're ready. Can't wait to watch the game tonight.
Do you gauging like the vibe around town and around the area? Is it similar to Indy? Is it that much of a takeover, or is it just concentrated doses of Michigan fans?
Indy is Indy's a more concentrated area. Like I was
Right.
in the thick of it in Indy, so of course, and it's a short drive away, so it felt more dense in Indy. Miami's a big area. I mean, people are probably in West Palm, Fort Lauderdale, Miami Beach. Everybody's driving in today. I mean, it's going to be a packed house. I know, the tickets sold out like that. So a lot of Michigan fans down here. I mean, really, literally, everywhere I go, I'm seeing the maize and blue somewhere.
Well, that's awesome to hear. We know our folks from this little sphere of the world tend to travel pretty well. So like I said before, what we're going to do is take probably about a half hour here to talk about the game. We'll take some of your guys' questions, so feel free to throw them into the chat here. I do have a couple talking points I want to start us off with. You know, Michigan in the college football playoff, winning a Big Ten championship, beating Ohio State. This is something that Jim Harbaugh and this program have been building to since you were there, Jake, and honestly, a long time before that, given the tradition and everything that's on the table there in Ann Arbor. I mean, can you describe to us, being that you are not all that far removed from being in the trenches there, I mean, how hard is it to put a group like this together and bust through and finally achieve what this group has achieved heading into Friday night?
Yeah, I think I was talking about this with somebody yesterday. And first off, as a foundation, winning in football is damn hard. It's damn hard. It's damn hard to do it week in, week out. Injuries are very likely to happen. Your body's beat up. There's a high coaching turnover. You really need to have playmakers at certain positions or you don't have a chance. So much has to go right to even give yourself a chance to win. But then you got Michigan, and it's not an excuse, it's the reality. We are an academic institution first. So whereas Ohio State, I grew up in Columbus, Ohio, like everyone around the greater Columbus area, it's Ohio State football, it's Buckeye football. It's not Ohio State, the academic institution. Michigan would survive as an academic institution regardless of the football team. So right there, as a football team, you lose a little leverage over the university. You also have academic standards to bring recruits in. There's probably some recruits that whether they were a great player or not, couldn't meet the academic standards at Michigan. So again, we're kind of fighting an uphill battle compared to other teams, similar to a Northwestern, except we obviously have more brand power than a Northwestern. So, for people to, you go back to last year and, obviously everybody recognizes that fell short of expectations. But, for people to get ready to abandon ship at any sign of challenge or adversity, understand the bigger picture here. We have an excellent ball coach in Jim Harbaugh. He came in and immediately changed our culture. My first 2 years, we were 7-6, 5-7 under Brady. We come in and we have back-to-back 10-win seasons, and really we were playing with everything in front of us. Those first 2 years, we just fell short of it. Now here we are. Now you see why you believe in Jim Harbaugh, why you trust him to manage and pilot your program, and we're reaping the fruits of that trust now. It's awesome to see, but it really, it's Jim, but it's hiring Coach McDonald, critical from a schematic standpoint on defense. Gaddis is calling, year over year he's improved, and then even from the second half to the first half of the season, greatly improved. But the player leadership, I think, is key. Cade McNamara, Aiden Hutchinson, those guys are the heartbeats of the offense and defense, respectively. And where they go, the team goes. And I trust those guys to lead us into war tonight.
Well, I talked about this yesterday on our show that we did with Ryan Van Bergen, but it applies here obviously as well with usually an extra week. Michigan has played the game with Ohio State, then had the long bowl layoff, so Michigan has had a little bit less of a layoff given the fact that they played in the Big Ten championship game. But how hard is it to you have this momentum as a football team and you're rolling, and then the season just kind of comes to a stop, and you have three or 4 weeks to get ready for a football game. How hard is that, Jake, to stay sharp and stay focused and not, you know, I assume there's probably some rust to knock off, but what do you think about the layoff and how that could affect? It applies to both teams, but how do you get back on the horse after that?
It comes down to leadership. It's as hard as, it's directly related to your player leadership. If you have good player leadership, it's not hard because the standard never changes. Whether you've had 3 days off, a week off, or 3 weeks off, you're going to come in and you're going to play to your standard regardless. And that's why, again, I've had confidence with this team going back to early in the season, watching how they take the field, watching how they play as one unit, whether it's offense, defense, or special teams. Of course, yeah, you got to come in there and you want to get that first drive out of the way. You want to get those first initial hits out of the way and try to get into an early rhythm. That's why in these bowl games, that first half of the first quarter is critical, that you jump on somebody and you don't come out sleepwalking. So, again, that comes down to leadership. Guys executing, understanding the scheme, and taking advantage of opportunities. Again, I trust our players.
Okay, well, and again, people watching, thank you for being here. Feel free to throw some questions in the chat, talking points. We will bring it up here over the next about 24 minutes or so. Let's move into Georgia. Early thoughts it's not early thoughts, the game's tonight, but we've had a lot of time now to go pour over the matchups and see where Michigan might have an advantage in this game. Where are a few spots, Jake, where you think that the Wolverines might be able to put something together and give themselves a shot tonight?
This is a good ball team. They're a complete ball team. You start with the defensive side of the ball. They don't give you an edge. Before the SEC championship, they were giving up less than 10 points per game on defense. It's unheard of. That's ridiculous. 3 total rushing touchdowns allowed on the season. That's nuts. That's nuts. I mean, the SEC, even though they've struggled here in bowl season, they're not a slouch conference. But that's nuts. This Georgia defense is going to be a challenge. They'll be the best defense we faced all year. But on the flip side, this is going to be one of the best offenses, and specifically offensive lines that Georgia has faced all year. Our offensive line won the Joe Moore Award. We are the best offensive line in the country. So as good as their defensive line is, we got a great matchup here. Something's got to give. I don't expect Michigan to go out there and rush for 250 yards, but I would say, hey, we need to commit to commit to the run game. Even if we're not breaking off 15, 20-yard runs, don't fall asleep with the 3-yard, 5-yard runs. Eventually you're going to crack to it, but you have to show Georgia you're willing to run the ball. That helps set up your collective offense. So I trust our backs. I trust our offensive line. You got Jordan Davis there in the middle. How do you stop a big, strong, fast guy like Jordan Davis? Well, you put 2 guys on him. It's 600 pounds on 300 pounds. It's leverage. It's 4 hands on 2 hands. That's an advantage. As good as Jordan Davis is, you have 2-on-1. You should be able to move or at least contain him and let your backs be 1-on-1 in the hole with whoever their linebacker is. So it's going to be a matchup. Something's got to give. We're probably going to take a couple punches and we're going to dish a couple out. I think if Michigan can get into that mid-20 point range, I think we got a really good chance to win, because on the flip side, Georgia's offense versus our defense, I think our defense actually has a great chance. We've been playing really, really good ball. We were able to contain probably what many were saying was the most explosive offense in the country in Ohio State. The story of their offense is Brock Bowers, the young tight end, the kid, the beast. Obviously, I know a thing or two about playing tight end. He's extremely versatile. They line him up as single receiver backside. They put him in the slot sometimes, on the ball tight end, off the ball tight end, sometimes line up in the backfield. He can do it all. And the advantage of having a good tight end is it's a big target. Big catch radius. So as a quarterback, and they've had some quarterback questions, is you just throw the ball in the vicinity of this tight end and he's going to use his body and box him out and catch it. It can eliminate a lot of mistakes. So as a quarterback, a good tight end is your best friend. Now there's rumors, how do you stop a good tight end? Good safety. I was a little bit nervous with Dax Hill. I know Sam Webb said that Daxton is down here and will play. That's good news. Hoping that he does go out there, and that'll be a good matchup to put our best on their best and hopefully slow him down. But definitely going to have to contain Brock Bowers. I think that'll make whoever the quarterback is uncomfortable and allow us to get back after them.
Okay, well, that was the first question we had, was how Michigan stops Brock Bowers. So you hit that one right on the head right off the bat. So that's a guy who's starting to get some experience in the broadcasting game right there.
Nice.
Let's talk about Michigan's run game. I mean, when you play a defensive front, or really a defense as good as Georgia is, it seems like you're going to have to get a little bit creative play calling wise. I mean, what do you think Josh Gaddis can dial up in this game to kind of keep Georgia off balance, or really just keep that defense in general, maybe with their hands on their hips, sucking air, early on in this game?
Okay, so you start with this is an explosive defense. But typically, if you're explosive, you lack endurance, right? If you're a 100-meter sprinter, you're not going to be the best in the world at running a 5K. If you're a great distance runner, you're not going to be that fast. You can't have both. Rarely do you have both. This is an explosive defense. So you watch what Bama did was getting in some hurry up situations and elongating drives. And you saw Jordan Davis is suddenly sitting there with his hands on his hips. He's looking a little bit less explosive. He's exhausted. So we have to elongate drives. You can't go 3 and out. You can't lose first and second down. You have to try to get yourself in third and favorable or avoid third down situations at all. We got to run the ball. That's our MO. But there's multiple ways of running the ball. You don't just line up and run inside zone right at Jordan Davis. That'd be like beating my head against the wall and calling myself a construction worker. That's just not good. You have to be able. And Michigan's done good with this. Is Josh Gaddis? Especially you look at that Ohio State game. That was almost like poetry or like art or like listening to Mozart on the piano. You line up in a formation, and we can run inside zone to the right. We can run outside zone to the left. But from this formation, we can also run strong side gap scheme. We can also show you strong gap and run counter. And then we love to do these pre-snap jet sweep and reverse motions, and occasionally we'll flip it to our wide receiver, and it's all going to look the same. That's really, really tough as a defense. Is we're going to show you one look, but from that one look, we can have 6 different ways to attack you. So that's how you run the ball, and you have to commit to running the ball. And then from there, that's the foundation. That's when you get into your play action pass situations. You're going to have some downfield shots, and you count on your players to make plays. And these guys have continued. A new guy every week has stepped up. You're going to need some trick plays too, and I think Gaddis has done a good job of doing that down the stretch of the season as well.
All right, this is a question from, I can't even pronounce what the username is, but he asks, Georgia's wide receiver Pickens has been out for significant time due to injury. He appears to be back now. How close can he be to 100% in your opinion? I don't know if we can safely answer that. I know he was dealing with a COVID thing, but just, I guess, talk about what you've seen in Pickens in general and the type of guy he is on the outside for Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, well, and there's 2 things to this: is you have a talent at wide receiver, but you're coming off some time down. And again, it kind of goes back to just what you asked earlier in this podcast of, hey, you play in the Big Ten championship and then you have 3 weeks down. Are you out of rhythm? How hard is it to get back up? When you've been playing, it's a little bit easier to get back up. When you're coming back from whether it's an injury, an illness, or a personal matter, it's a little bit harder to get back in rhythm. You want to go out there and make that first play, make that first catch. So, like we just talked about, is early in this game when we're matched up on him, batting the balls down, getting up in press coverage, making him uncomfortable, showing him different looks. Because he's waiting to see, hey, like that initial part of the game, he wants to confirm, okay, am I healthy? Can I play today? Can I do what I know I'm capable of? If he starts making plays early in the game, it's comfortability, it's confidence. If we can make him uncomfortable early in the game, maybe he questions like, hey, maybe I'm not built for this. So again, it's about setting the tempo after these long breaks in these games, making the opposing team uncomfortable. Whoever can do that early will have a leg up going into the final stretch of the game.
All right, well, this one's asking for you to plug some personal stuff. This is from Aaron Walls, who says, Jake, when will your podcast at Apple? I can only find it on Google. I want it to play along with the rest of my Michigan podcasts at work. So,
okay, so I mean, I did a couple of personal podcasts, where I was interviewing some of the players, but I try to be respectful of those guys. It's I'm not exactly an official media member for Michigan, so. And I also understand too, man, is I think people should understand this is, guys, you lift in the morning at 6 a.m., then you have class 8 to noon. Then you get a quick lunch, you go down, you have treatment 1 to 2, you practice 2 to 5, you eat dinner, and then you go to the academic center and you study 6 to 8, and then you're home. But you still got a girlfriend, you still got friends. So, like, it's hard to squeeze these guys in, man. I want to be respectful of it. At some point, I'll probably have a podcast, an official podcast. And when that happens, just follow me on Twitter, and I'll make sure to let you know.
Awesome. Well, in the meantime, we're glad that you're here with us, chatting here on Orange Bowl Friday. Michigan and Georgia take each other on at 7:30 p.m. We sort of hit on Brock Bowers a little bit earlier, but JC wants to know. I want you to put your headset on now. You're Mike McDonald, Jake. What would you do to slow down Georgia's Bowers? It seems like he's the key to their entire offense.
I agree. I think he is the heart of the offense, so that's going to be the key. What you do is to slow down a good tight end. At least for me, I hated it when I could get a clean release and get into my route early. That's rhythm. Like you have this internal clock where you know if it's a 5 step drop, I have about a 2 count before I have to make my break and look for the ball. If it's a 7 step drop, maybe it's a 2.53 count. What you do is as they're releasing to their route, our outside linebackers and our inside linebackers redirect him. Hit him as he's getting into his route. Your inside linebackers, as he's getting to that mid part of his route, bump him again, get your hands on, get him out of rhythm, make him uncomfortable. That's what you do. Now, an interesting thing is you do that against really good tight ends. When I was in Denver, we did it against Kelsey. We'd want to get hands on him. But when you have good pass rushers, typically you keep your tight end to chip them as well. So we have two really good pass rushers. You know, if Bowers is getting into his route, maybe Hutchinson or Nojabo are coming free off the edge and are able to, make the quarterback uncomfortable. It'll be interesting to see. Maybe both these guys end up just chipping each other and neither of them end up doing it. They're completely eliminated on the play. We'll see how it goes. But you definitely got to chip them early in the route. And, disguising coverages in the back end is always, a little bit more technical, but usually when you have a route, you have two different options on what you could run. If it's a one high, middle of the field closed defense, you might have a dig route. If it's a middle of the field open, two high defense, you're going to split the safeties on a post. So, you disguise coverages and get him thinking in his route rather than playing fast.
Well, let's move over to quarterbacks now. Ken Matthews just kind of asked, speak on Cade, but I'll extend it a little further than that. I mean, all year it seems like people have been saying, gee, I don't know. I mean, Cade's been fine. They're winning games. I don't know if he can give you what you need to win a game like this. And all he's done is go out and win games like this, or games like the Ohio State game, games like the Big Ten Championship. What can he, I mean, we know the answer to this question, but I want to hear it in your words. How do you feel about how he stacks up and will be prepared for a game like this against Georgia?
Quarterback is so much more than your ability to throw it 70 yards or your ability to run a read option and make 10 guys miss and score a touchdown. Of course, that's flashy and we love to see it. We love to watch Cam Newton and Tim Tebow take the field. We love to watch Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. But it's not like Tom Brady is a superb athlete. It's not like Tom Brady's going out there and running a 4-3 or Tom Brady's throwing the farthest or fastest ball in the NFL. He does it with his mind. And that's what I love about Cade. When you come into the huddle, you're a tone setter for the entire offense. If you stutter, down goes the confidence. If you come in there and you command the huddle and you say, hey, this is the play we got right now, on one, ready? And the whole offense is on the same page. That's leadership. That's as soon as you break the huddle, you're confident that the guy under center is going to get everybody lined up and get you in a pre-snap schematic advantage. That's what K does. You look at, like, there's the game within the game. I look at the Ohio State game. All season in 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 situations, Michigan loved to get in this hurry-up tight formation, and they just run inside zone right up the middle, right? And we did it early in the game. But then later in the game, we're in that situation. We get up, Cade gets everybody lined up on the same page, and we go on two. We get the Ohio State defender to jump. Cade takes the snap. He understands he has a free play because it's a 5-yard offside penalty. He takes a shot downfield. That's the game within the game. That's the mentality. That's the veteran experience that Cade has.
Well, we're not going to make a controversy out of it, but this is from Jeffrey Blue, who says, good evening from Shanghai. Evening from Shanghai. How do you see JJ being used against Georgia?
Listen, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, this is. I'm not a fan of the 2 quarterback system. I think it's really tough to get in rhythm, and then you're pulling a guy out, getting him out of rhythm, and asking another guy to come in cold and make a play out of nowhere. But these guys have done a hell of a job. I mean, I'm shocked how well it works. You have to do it in this world with the transfer portal. You have to keep your 5-star freshman quarterback happy. You got to keep everybody happy. Jim's done a great job of that. Gaddis has done a great job of that. But right now, our offense is firing on all cylinders. Why abandon ship in the biggest game of the season? Let's go out there and, we have a plan. Let's stick to that plan. Let's stick to what we know and what's worked and adjust accordingly. If we're really struggling in the game, maybe you see JJ come in and run a little bit more trickery or read option plays. I think that'll be an in-game adjustment more so than a um, pregame thought.
All right, well, let's move to another question here. There's been some talk about SEC teams being a bit overrated given their performance in the bowls. What is your take on the SEC and their bowl performance so far?
Yeah, I mean, they really struggled, right? I think they have one win.
I think they've only won the Mayo Bowl, so
Right. So they're only overrated because the media makes them so hyped up throughout the season every single year, right? I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say the SEC is a slouch conference, but there's Alabama. Okay, maybe Georgia's a little bit, right there with them, but Alabama's obviously in a league of their own. I feel the whole rest of the SEC kind of rides off their tail. Even Alabama struggled this year. They lost to a Texas A&M team that really isn't that good. Struggled with an Auburn team, really not that good, and they won down the stretch. But there's like this historic part that kind of influences the way we view things. Where Bama has had so much success. You've seen Bama playing these massive games, and it seems like that's the aura that carries the SEC's strength. But this year in the bowl game, so far you've seen maybe the SEC isn't who we say they are. Maybe the Big Ten is actually better. The Big Ten's had a lot of success. So I guess we'll find out tonight. For us, I'm not too concerned about it. I just want to see the boys in blue win. That's all that I care about. We could talk about these narratives, but if Michigan doesn't win, we're going to have to hear it from the SEC folks, all the way till next year.
yeah, SEC, ACC, who cares? You're in the college football playoff. This is actually going to be a question for me. Well, and you guys, the questions have been great. Keep them coming through. We've got probably about 8 or 9 more minutes left. We'll hang out here. I want to hear your thoughts on the other playoff matchup. We talked about Alabama a little bit there. Alabama and Cincinnati will play in the 3:30 game, the appetizer to the main event later on tonight, if you will. So what do you think about that matchup? And is this a Bama statement day, or is Cincinnati going to prove that they belonged?
So I don't really foresee a massive blowout by Bama. Could they blow them out? Absolutely. I don't think Cincinnati will blow out Alabama. There's only a chance of Bama blowing out Cincy, but I think Cincy's uniquely, tailored to give Alabama a little bit of trouble. They have a really good pass defense. They got some studs in their secondary. So they match up uniquely well against Bama's high-powered passing attack. But, the metaphor I was thinking about is you think about a hungry lion out in the wild, and he just did a hunt, and he ate that zebra. And now he's sitting in the jungle fat and happy. Maybe he's not as motivated. But then you got a team like Cincinnati who's starving, man. They thought that they should have been here for a long time. They're like a pack of hyenas. They're ready to hunt. This moment, they've been waiting for this for so long. They understand that this is so fleeting. There's so much riding on this game. I know they're going to be hyped up and juiced up. It's probably going to be close early. I hope Cincinnati doesn't, if Bama blows out gets out to a huge lead, I don't see Cincinnati having the firepower to come back on them. So the more they can keep it close, there's that belief that starts to build like, hey, we can do this. If they can get, if it's close still into the middle of the third, early fourth quarter, I say it's anyone's game.
All right, well, we did talk a little bit about Dax Hill earlier. John Ray Bay asked, any early info on if Dax will play tonight? I can say that we, as people at the Wolverine were reporting throughout the week, it had been trending that he would make the trip down on his own, that he would play in the game. He was in team meetings last night, as far as my knowledge of it goes. So it seems like it's trending towards him playing. So we'll assume that he is. So, Jake, what I'll ask you, I guess we can go a little more in detail about, if this is, the storyline has been if Michigan's going to slow down Brock Bowers, that Dax Hill is going to be a big part of that. So from a Dax Hill perspective, knowing what we know about him, what can he do to bring, or what can he bring to the table in this game on Friday to where I assume it wouldn't just be him drawing that assignment, but how can Michigan use him, as a defense against a mismatch weapon like that?
Yeah, I mean, he's a veteran guy. He's a leader. He's been playing really, since his freshman year here at Michigan. So he's got a lot of experience. It'd be a tough loss. But on the flip side, it's like, listen, man, this is the world we live in now. Like, this is COVID. This is just, it is what it is. You kind of almost have to anticipate that somebody's going to catch it. You're going to have some type of COVID issues to deal with. You almost prepare for that, prepare for the worst and hope for the best. So doesn't come at a surprise that Michigan was dealing with this, and it's always next man up. But if Dax Hill comes in, it's obviously a weapon, but it's the leadership, it's the veteran experience that you're going to look to lean on, especially in these big games. You want the players that are a little bit more settled. The game's a little bit slowed down to them. You trust them to go out there and complete the assignment a little bit more. So I'm hoping to see him out there. As you said, it seems like everything's trending like he will be playing tonight. And I know he wants to play because it's probably going to be the biggest game of his career.
All right, we have another quarterback question from Ken Matthews, who says, can Cade win a game like this? The quarterback matchup, we have Cade McNamara versus Stetson Bennett. You need someone to put a drive together. Cade McNamara can get that done, I think. Right, Jake?
Can Cade beat Ohio State? Can Cade beat Iowa? Can Cade, even Michigan State, Cade played an almost flawless game. Like, he almost had 600 yards of offense.
Yeah.
I don't understand the narrative of disbelief or questioning our damn quarterback that has us as the number 2 team in the country that just beat Ohio State, kicked their ass, all right? That has led us to this great record in this great season. Remember a couple of years ago, we were begging for this. And now we have a quarterback that's leading and we're questioning him. Yes, he can win this game. Yes, he's proved it. He's done it. But it's never about one person. It's about the entire team. Everybody's going to have to come together. So it's Cade's leadership, but Cade's got all the talent in the world to make all the throws that he's asked of. Let's cut it out. Let's support our guys instead of question them. This is not the time to question. That was last year. That was another quarterback in years past. It's not Cade. He's proved that. He's earned it.
All right, we have another question here from, we found out that our alphabet soup name here is our friend QED, who asks, if you're the Georgia OC, and hopefully Georgia's not watching this because we don't want to give any state secrets away, but you've watched the film. Given, Michigan's defense has gotten better throughout the year, but what would be one weakness in the Michigan defense that you might be a little bit worried about in this game if Georgia's able to exploit it?
Watching early in the season, one of the things that worried me is Michigan would play really good defensively about 90% of the time. But the other 10%, they'd get lazy with their eyes. They'd get lazy with their assignment. They'd give up a big play. The Northwestern running back broke like an 80-yard touchdown run. Nebraska in a critical situation, we lost our eyes on the tight end. The tight end runs a pop pass and he walks into the end zone for a touchdown. 4th and 1 against Michigan State, they do a little trickery and complete a big pass that gets them down inside the 5-yard line. They score a touchdown. So you're telling your guys like, hey, listen, this Michigan defense is good, but let's just keep believing. At some point, they're going to get lazy, and we're going to put you guys in the right situation. And you're going to attack it. Everybody, you focus on doing your job. If you do your job, we're going to count on at least one of their guys having a missed assignment, and we're going to exploit that. I'd say down the stretch, Michigan, especially in Ohio State game, they were almost flawless from an assignment standpoint. So same with the Big Ten championship. You just hope that they maintain that level of execution in this game.
All right, well, we're going to play while we wait for a couple more questions to roll in. We do have a few minutes left here. We're going to play the fill in the blank game, Jake. First, we'll start with Michigan. Michigan wins this game if?
Can get to 150 yards rushing.
Okay, and Georgia wins this game if?
Brock Bowers has 100-plus yards receiving and 1 touchdown.
All right, let's hear we'll wait for a few more to come in here. I want to hear, just gaze into your crystal ball, look into the future, what's going on, what's going to happen in this game. Are we playing another football game on January 10th, Jake?
Yes, I'm anticipating another football game on January 10th. I think football's a momentum game. It's confidence, it's belief. Michigan's playing their best football, it seems, down the stretch against some really good opponents. Remember, at one point, Iowa was the top 5 team in the country. We just handled business against those guys. So Michigan seems to be peaking. Georgia seemed to show a little sign of weakness against Alabama. So at that point, you're coming off a team that's really hot and a team that's maybe cooled off a little bit. I think that kind of narrative matters. I think Michigan can go in there and, again, I don't think we're going to have our best day on offense because we're playing a really good defense, but we're going to have a good enough day offensively and a great day defensively. That's going to be the difference maker. We're going to win this game. My prediction is 30-23 Michigan.
All right, last one. I'll get you out of here on this, Jake. Give us your player of the game and an X factor that we haven't talked about.
It's maybe it's not sexy, but the player of the game needs to be, and I hope will be the entire offensive line. This is a good front seven by Georgia. If they can, we've hardly given up sacks, quarterback pressures, or tackle for losses. So if we can maintain that, that's going to be very frustrating to a Georgia defense that's become accustomed to really stifling opposing offenses. So if our offensive line can go out there and have a great game, I think that's going to help us. Maybe the X factor is our inside backers. They don't get talked about enough. Obviously with David Ojabo and Aiden Hutchinson, but Junior Colson, Josh Ross, those two dudes, we're going to need them. When you have a good defensive line, that means the other offensive line has to commit two guys. So that means you have free gaps to run through as backers. So when they have opportunities to make tackles, when they have opportunities to redirect Brock Bowers or bat passes down, we're going to need them to be at their best today and really be a difference maker defensively.
All right. He's been former Michigan tight end Jake Butt. I have been Anthony Broom of thewolverine.com. That's going to do it for us here. Michigan and Georgia play at 7:30 p.m. tonight from Miami. Game will be on ESPN. Actually, I think it's on like 4 of the ESPN channels as they do their little megacast thing. If you're watching from home, enjoy. If you're watching from Miami, like Mr. Butt here is, also enjoy. Have a great time. Hopefully, we're talking after the game about another Michigan win and an appearance in the national championship game on January 10th. Jake, thank you so much. Appreciate your time. Guys, thank you for the questions. I will be back here after the game with Ryan Van Bergen as we do the quick takeaways, the reactions, all that type of stuff. So thanks for following us here on thewolverine.com. Hit the subscribe button. You know where to find us. So thanks again. We'll talk to you soon.